What's everybody? What's everybody? Wow, what's up, everybody? Good to see you. This is me. This is my show. Y'all know the deal. Been a little bit since I did one of these, but some news came out today that I really kind of want to talk about. Um, as you can see behind me up there, got some new stuff on the wall. Really digging the Ted Lasso stuff. I like it because sometimes you gotta believe. So today, and this is a huge hat tip to Sean Ross Sapp and Fightful for this story, that Warner Brothers Discovery is interested in adding more of the AEW pay per views to the schedule. And that got me thinking, they're really, man, how many is too many? When you look at WWE, yeah, they do at least 12 a year, but they're also a part of the Peacock network. So you don't have to pay for those if you have the Peacock service, which makes things really good. Now with AEW, you're looking at $49 a pop, and you're looking at in today's world, that's a lot of money for people. So is this a good idea? They have their four now. What's a good number? Most of my friends and people I talk to, we kind of came up with the idea that six is a nice, good round number. Six gives you plenty of time, basically gives you 2 months between events. So you have lots of time to build up a story. One of the biggest complaints that people have about the WWE pay per views, and well before the Peacock stuff, but you were looking sometimes at like 3 weeks before a show. That's not a lot of build. That's like a terrible amount of time to build up a story. And my poor puppy is laying in the doorway. I try to get her to come in and be on the camera with me, but she does not want any part of that. So you won't get to see my cute little co-host today. Anyways, $49.99, huge cost. There, when things started out with AEW, I bought all the pay per views because this was an exciting new product and I wanted to see it. But now, in today's world, between inflation and me not having a job per se, that is a very expensive thing to do. But what if they were all on Max? As a Max subscriber, would that be a good deal? Is six enough then? If you're looking at not having to pay any more for the pay per views, would six almost seem like a step backwards? Would you want to go to the 12 ish? Sometimes, I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes there's actually 13 pay per views when they did that stupid New Year's Eve thing, PLEs, wherever they call them. So it really is a interesting turning point. I see why the Bleacher Report app is what you get your pay per views through, and of course, Warner Brothers Discovery, Time Warner, AOL, the Ghost of Ted Turner, whoever's getting all that cash, they're getting a bump off that. I'm sure they get a little piece of that Bleacher Report stuff coming through. So yeah, it'd be a great thing for them to have a little extra income, help offset some of the cost of the TV service, even though in reality, it's not pro wrestling's not that expensive compared to some of the shows you see on TV. You see TNT canceling shows all the time because they're so much per episode, and wrestling is like a fraction of that, and usually brings in pretty good ratings. So when when did things really change in pay per view? In the early '90s, when I was a young lad, as a fan of wrestling, we had the standard for a month or for a year, which was a good concept. You had your what now would be considered tentpole shows, your WrestleManias, your Survivor Series, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, and then they added the King of the Ring. I believe was the next one they added. And when you look back, it seems like there was such a lull in between them all, but you also didn't have the massive amounts of content in wrestling that you have now. You didn't have there wasn't even a Raw back then. You had Superstars and Wrestling Challenge, things like that. So I definitely think there is a market for adding more pay per views, but I just don't see 12. Honestly, 12 a month at $49.99. Ain't nobody got time for that. Nobody's gonna pay that kind of money. On Max, you could actually go, you could do 6, you could do 8, you could do 12. I think the storytelling and the product will suffer if you do to a 12, but it's not my company, not my money, not my sandbox. This is just my opinion as a fan. They're going to do whatever they want to do. So who knows? This is terrible. I've done 5 minutes and this is just me rambling back and forth. So I don't really know what's going on today. It's a weird time trying to find a job. I did a video interview for a job that was kind of cool. It had to answer some questions. It was then record myself doing it. I'm sure they were probably trying to figure out why this weirdo with a giant podcast mic was answering questions about their company. But hey, I bought it. I'm going to use it. I looked up, getting ready for this, I looked up some stuff and it really started jogging my memory. I was a WWF kid growing up. I was a little Hulkamaniac. And then one day I discovered WCW. And then my uncle was a huge Ric Flair fan. I actually walked him down the aisle here when he was a sheriff for an event here in Lawton. He did with WCCW, which is a cool little story that I always enjoyed hearing. He kind of got me into WCW, so I got to look at some of their pay-per-views, and I was really surprised to learn that even when the WWF was doing the 4 rotation a year, WCW had 5. That I guess I just don't remember that, but they had the 5 pay-per-views a year. So 6 really isn't that far off. I'd like to see it personally. I think 6 is plenty. Like I said, 2 months between a show gives you plenty of time to build a story. Gives you a lot of intrigue to it. Lets you branch that story in different directions if you wanted to, if something wasn't working, because you have to listen to your fans, which is not something that is happening much in wrestling these days. You always got to listen to people with the money. It's number one rule. People paying the bills, you got to listen to them. So anyways, 7 minutes of me rambling about spending money on pay-per-views. This is probably pretty boring, but I read this story. Seriously, if you haven't checked out Fightful and Sean's reporting, it's $5 a month. It is the best. If you're a wrestling fan, it is the best $5 you'll ever spend. The stories are so good, and they're all his. I've heard him explain his vetting process for information before, and it is much, much different than what you would get from other places. And my phone's ringing, so let me just hit that right there. So check out Fightful, check out Sean Rosstat, check out their podcast, the Overbook Network with Joel and Jeremy and Kate. I have some really great shows there. So check all that out. Give me your $5. They deserve it. Hit the like button, subscribe to my podcast, do all that cool stuff. Thanks for watching.